Last week, I did something that made my entire family look at me like I had lost my mind. My friends felt the same way, and I actually traveled 17 hours one way. My son drove the whole way, and it was literally to spend 1 hour with someone who's an expert in this one area. And that 1 hour did more for my body than years and years of me trying to figure things out on my own. And if you don't know my journey and you don't know my story, you're going to want to check some other videos out that I've done solo on my podcast. Today, I want to tell you why. And I want you to think differently about your own weight loss plateau while I tell the story. So it may not fit exactly where you are, but I want you to see how it aligns with you. And I want you to take everything you can from it. You're going to see yourself in this more than you actually expect. Before we get into this, I have to tell you something real quick. I have put together a masterclass. It's coming up on August 15th, and it is built to support you on exactly this, your carnivore lifestyle journey. And when you feel like you're doing everything right and you still feel stuck. I'm giving you the details later, but I want you to stick with me because by the end of this episode, you're actually going to understand exactly why I built it. Welcome to Carnivore Lifestyle for Women. This is episode 58. Today, we're talking about weight loss plateaus, why you can be doing everything exactly right and the scale still will not move. And I'm going to talk to you about a trip that I took last week that taught me something I think you need to hear too. Quick note, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional. Nothing that I share in this podcast is meant to diagnose, treat, or cure any condition. This is my own personal health experience, not medical advice for you. And always check with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, your workouts, or your lifestyle. Okay, a plateau. Let's talk about it. You have been doing this for a week, 4 months, a year, 2 years, maybe even longer. And you are consistent. You are not sneaking anything, right? And the number on the scale just sits there looking at you. And week after week, you notice it either goes up or it stays the same. And you're like, what is happening? This is not how it's supposed to go. And here's what happens in your head when you go and you are doing this and you're practicing being consistent. You're showing up for yourself and you're doing all the things. You start to wonder if you're secretly sabotaging yourself or if you're doing it incorrectly, or you start to wonder if your body's broken. You start wondering if this is just how it is now and that this is how it's going to be forever. Well, I want to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it. None of that is true. A plateau is not your body failing you. A plateau is usually data, right? It's some things happening and you're not paying close enough attention, or your body's actually healing itself and you can't see that process. You know, a plateau is just your body telling you something. This is exactly where I was and why I got in a car last week and traveled 17 hours one way to just sit with and be with this expert for 1 hour. And here's what happened. And I want you to listen for yourself in this story. Okay. Not for me. I've been carnivore for 3 years and I know my food, and still weird things kept happening. You know, like my legs would swell or my body would just be full of fluid suddenly. Things I just couldn't explain. And even though I was doing carnivore right, I had no idea what was going on inside. And I actually didn't know if I could even figure out the answer. I have a friend that I met through carnivore last November that was a chance meeting and it was amazing. And we've been in touch and she told me this story about how she went to this expert and she got treated and what it was about and all of that. So I decided in that moment to get the details and set an appointment. I called and asked a couple of questions to make sure they could actually help me. And then I believed with every part of my being that I was going to go and I was actually going to get what I came for. And so the plan began. And I really, like I said, I had no idea what all was going on inside of me. I was just doing the thing and making sure that I understood that this is a lifestyle. It's not a diet. And I needed the answers. And like I said, my friend told me about this practitioner and her specific situation. And so I decided to share with them what I had going on. They said, yes, for sure, they could help me. And honestly, y'all, God brought all of this together through people that I met along the way. And I was open to, because I love people and listening to their stories. So over this amazing 3-year journey, one connection led to another. And eventually I found out about this practitioner and I learned that I wasn't meant to do every part of my journey alone. And it didn't need to be some complicated thing. It just needed to happen. And so I did the thing, right? The thing everybody around me told me was too much. It was going to cost too much. It was going to take too much time. It was just crazy. And I decided that I was going to do what was right for me and not listen to all the naysayers. And so I traveled 17 hours across the country in one day and found where the location was of the practitioner and then went and tried to get some sleep. My son went with me and he was open to helping me get this done. To spend 1 hour in a location to get the help I needed and leave was life changing. And that's because I needed someone to help me and I was open to it and I was willing to spend the money, spend the time and believe. And that's what I want for you. It's not about an hour for you, but it is about looking at your life and deciding what it's worth for you to expedite this process and get what you need. So this person was an expert in her field, right? Years and years of training and experience doing the specific thing that I actually needed her to do. And I couldn't get to where I needed without this because when there's a central nervous system involved and there is an immune system involved, the body is in a loop, right? That it's stuck in. It's really difficult to stop that on your own. And so I quickly learned when my friend was telling me about this that I needed this help. I needed to get this lady to help me. Now, not everybody was on board. Like I said, some people just keep saying, do what you're doing now. Eventually it will work out. Some people said, oh my gosh, what you're doing now is going to kill you. So this is a total waste of time. But what I decided for me is that I couldn't listen to them and then not take the chance, not do the thing that I believed could help me. And pretty much everybody saying the same thing to me, that sounds crazy. You're wasting all this stuff. Why don't you just eat differently? Just eat some shrimp, eat some cake, eat some biscuits, eat some pancakes, eat some candy. You'll eventually be able to eat whatever you want. You just got to teach your body. You just got to keep doing it. But I believed that this would change my life. And I went there prayerfully and did it, right? And I'm so glad I did. And when I was there, I literally put myself in a state where I was just so thankful and I just was ready to receive. And it was insane. I have a very busy brain. It's been going on for a while. And I literally felt so much peace come over me and calm. And I had alpha gal, y'all. Let me just say, alpha gal is a red tick illness that makes you where you can't eat red meat. And that's all I was eating was red meat. And I kept having all these reactions. And now it makes so much sense that I had all these unexplained symptoms. Not the traditional alpha gal, but every single person I've talked to experiences alpha gal in a different way. So because in that 1 hour, I was ready to receive that, believing it was my healing, right? Believing my brain was going to calm down. Y'all, I was making lists of lists. I had like 18 lists before I left. I have no idea where they are right now, but I have looked for them and I couldn't even hold my thoughts. It was so crazy. But the minute I had to lay down and receive this treatment, I believed with every fiber of my being that it was going to heal me and that I was going to get to come back home and make carnivore food of all kinds and have no reactions. I'm introducing every single day. So the date that this happened, they send you within an hour to go and start eating specifically grass-fed red meat. Okay. And they have a place that you have to go and get it. So I did that and it takes we were there 2 hours, I believe, but it takes 45 minutes to do the reintroduction. And then you have to wait it out. And then we sat there a little bit longer because I ordered extra to take with me so that I made sure I did it correctly. But I am on day 9, I believe. No, I'm on day 8. And every day I've reintroduced things. And so far it seems to be going amazing. There are up to 2 weeks that you can have certain things happen that make you think it's not working, but they gave me all the information to warn me of that. So I am trying everything that could cross-contaminate me as a carnivore and making sure that I tell my immune system and my nervous system that it's fine and to stay calm. Because that's what the treatment did, is it told my body to calm down and to not overreact is basically what happened. The first thing that I noticed while I was still there and they were coming in to finish up, I was like, I have no racing thoughts. That's like amazing. And I have no compulsion to write a list, which was like not normal for me. And I literally was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I am so excited." So as the days have gone on, I've noticed I'm getting better and better and better. So I'm very excited. I will keep updating you. But the goal here is for you to understand that she saw something about me that was completely invisible to me. And I didn't even know I needed to know, right? And that's where you are. And after years of learning awareness and how to pay attention to my body, this literally is what this expert did in 1 hour, right? I mean, they see where you are, what you need, and you're just oblivious. Like, it's like insane. So, that's basically the whole story, y'all. It is about who I sat with and what state I drove to in order to get what I came for and what I needed so badly. And it is about what happens when you finally stop trying to do this completely alone and you let somebody in. You let somebody with an expertise who can see your blind spots, see where you are and where you're going, and then tell you what they see so that you can make informed decisions. So it's not just about the scale or your weight. It's about understanding what's happening under the hood, right? What's happening inside your body that you can't see? Because your body does prioritize what's the most important thing. And it's going to heal the first thing that it needs to take care of, not what you want, because you want to lose the weight no matter what. And there will be a day, I don't know how long it will take you, but there will be a day when you want to nourish and take care of your body and love it versus trying to control it and punish it and sabotage it. Because as women, we've been cornered and programmed. And I want you to stop believing the lies. I want you to see how resilient you are and how you can make a U turn. If you are still here and you are still breathing, you can make a U turn. And that is my main focus. That's what I help women do. I help them to see where they're going, see where they're focused, and see what's the most important thing. And I help them to make decisions based on what I see so they can start practicing it in their own life and seeing that maybe they were going in the wrong direction this entire time and believing a lie and focused on it like it was the gospel. You know, that's the same thing that I did when I went carnivore and I changed a lot of things and didn't see the needle move and was chasing symptoms. This is why I teach my clients that chasing symptoms is not the answer. It's like downstream. You need to teach the body that it's safe, and then you need to prioritize what you actually want to do and do one thing. One, because when you're doing 18 things, you're not getting anything done. I know. Trust me. I know. Okay. So let me teach you some things. Okay. I want to make this super simple so you actually can take what you need and go. So a weight loss plateau usually means your body has settled into whatever you're currently doing. And it also means your body could be healing things behind the scenes and you can't see it. But when we go, I'm going to do carnivore for weight loss, and then you expect it to magically change your body and life instantly, pretty much overnight. There are so many nuances. And when I talked to Dr. Sean Baker, when I interviewed him on my podcast, he was talking about there are nuances. There are people that are different. Everybody's not going to get the same result exactly. Now, carnivore is hypoallergenic and it's anti-inflammatory. It's the opposite of what we've been taught. And when your body gets an anti-inflammatory hypoallergenic food, it can calm down. It can get to baseline and it can actually stop overreacting, stop the inflammation. And then you can actually feel what your body feels like in that moment. Now, just by doing fatty red meat, you're going to see a ton of inflammation leave. That's usually what happens when the scale moves. It's just inflammation and fluid leaving your body because you were holding on to it because you had a lot going on. So when you are starting carnivore, if you're focusing on the scale and focusing on your weight, that number, you're going to miss so many things. I interviewed Kelly Hogan on my podcast, and she talked about how something crazy and amazing happened. She lost weight, 80 pounds, and then she stopped for 2 years. But she didn't quit, y'all. She stayed on carnivore because her doctor told her to do carnivore and it was going to heal her boils and all the other things. So she stopped eating the carbs and she just did carnivore. Of course, it wasn't called carnivore back then. It was called zero carb. And when she did that, she was in it to win it, y'all. She wasn't in it to lose weight. Because if that was the case when she hit the 80-pound plateau, she would have quit. But she didn't quit. And you know, the coolest thing happened, and you'll have to go watch that podcast to find out what happened. But she talks about something that happened for 2 years that you don't want to miss. So it can be that you're chasing weight loss, or it can be that you're chasing health, and you're going to do whatever it takes to get to the health goal that you have for yourself. So you can stop being distracted by all of these things you're dealing with and you can get to the good part. And your body is not going to settle down when it is doing all of these things until it has accomplished what it needs to. And it took Kelly Hogan the first year, 80 pounds, 2 more years, nothing happened. The 4th year is when she lost the other 50 pounds. So you'll want to go there and watch that. I'll see if I can put it up at the end so you can find it. I want you to realize that chasing the scale will never get you the health that you want. And being skinny is never going to make you healthy. Just because you're small doesn't mean you're healthy. You want to be healthy, strong, and fit, right? And to get there, you have to decide what you want, what you're willing to give up, and what you're willing to do differently to get the outcome that you want. And it's really crazy, but feeling emotional that, this isn't working out, that the results that you want are happening fast enough, and you keep doing everything right, and then you watch nothing move. I want you to realize you're not broken and you're not getting nothing. When you eat fatty red meat and you cut the carbs and you cut the processed foods and you cut the 4 horsemen of illness, which are grains, seed oils, sugar, and processed food. When you cut them, not overnight, I had to do it overnight, but when you cut them overnight, a lot of other things can happen. And then you won't enjoy your journey as much and you might quit. So I tell people to pick one of the 4 horsemen and remove it. And then work on the other ones later. So go a week or 2 and get your body to be like, because when you get rid of grains and seed oils, a lot of the processed foods get knocked out. Not all of them, but pick one and focus on just that one. Because what will happen is your body will go, and then you'll be like, dang, I feel amazing. And just keep going. It's really all the little things adding up to getting you where you want to go. It's not about doing something drastic or fast, because what could happen is you might go backwards. And we don't want to go backwards. We want to keep moving forward. I want you to sit with this and I want you to listen. What you think in here determines what happens out here. And so if you don't like what's happening out here, we got to work on this. And this is one of the things that I work with my clients on, because how they think determines how they live. And when they're thinking the wrong thoughts and they're thinking that it's right, they're going to stay stuck. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for the women that are looking for a change and they really, really want that. Your cortisol could be elevated. Your body could be under chronic stress, whether it's emotional stress, poor sleep, which affects so many areas, or even overtraining and working out too much. Your body is going to hold on to fat as a protective mechanism. So if these are things that you're doing, there's an area, right? But stress actually tells your body that it's not safe to let go of anything. So when you're trying to beat yourself up, it does not work in your favor. Your body's always going to outsmart you. And also your nervous system could be stuck in a state of high alert, or what I like to call fight or flight. And if your body has been living in fight or flight for a while, even quietly, because you think, I got this. There's a lot going on in my life, but I got this. It does not prioritize fat loss when all this is going on and you are like, It's not happening. It's fine. I'm fine. And survival mode actually does not allow you to lose weight. And I hate the word weight because that word means a lot of things. So you don't want to focus on weight. You want to focus on fat. And you will always have fat to burn. Always, always. That's how the body's made. But trying to focus on changing the number and not knowing what that means is kind of a problem. There could be hidden inflammation in your body, even on carnivore. I got a couple, three things going on, and I think they were all related because my body was stuck in fight or flight, and I was doing all the things to make it stop, but it was beyond me. I wasn't able to do anything about it. So that's why I took the trip, because that's one of the things they address in this treatment is fight or flight, central nervous system, immune system, the brain being busy all the time were some of the things that it automatically worked on. So it was amazing. But even on carnivore, inflammation can come from food and food sensitivities, which, hey, y'all, that's me. I was swelling up every single day and I was eating like one type of burger patty and one type of butter, and I was using salt. And so it was so out of control that I had to cut the salt out, which I miss dearly. And I'm going to reintroduce that at some point. But I didn't know what to do. And I thought my body was like just rebelling. What my body was doing was communicating with me. I just didn't understand what it was saying and like why it was doing that. Your hormones could be shifting, especially if you're in the area of midlife. I don't like to use those labels that we've been given, that we've been told are the gospel. And I don't like thinking that they're permanent and that they're unavoidable, because that's not really true. I don't like thinking that those terms we've been given for years about midlife are true or accurate, because that's not what they're supposed to be. It's mostly that we're eating foods that aren't real and that aren't really good for us, that everything has gone sideways. It has gone awry. So estrogen and progesterone and testosterone changes as you get older. And we've been given a bill of goods that I feel like is not 100% accurate. And when we are eating things that weren't meant to moderate and our body's inflamed, it's not going to do any of the things it did before. And you're not going to feel good even when you're eating clean. And sometimes it's simple metabolic adaptation, right? Your body just got efficient. It learned how to do more with less. And that efficiency, while smart for survival, can actually stall visible results, even when everything is right. So sometimes it can mean that something else entirely is happening, something underneath all of that that you've not identified yet. And something your body is quietly prioritizing over weight loss because it has decided that something else needs its attention first. So you want to look a certain way. You want to feel amazing and look amazing. But your body's like, hey, we got this secret thing going on over here. You can't see it, but I got you. And I'm gonna do that first. And you're like, oh, no, 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 no. The scale needs to move now. I don't care about anything else. The scale needs to move. That's the part that's so easy for you to skip over, because if you don't know that's even a possibility, you will just keep blaming your food or your effort or yourself, when really your body might be working on something else that's more important. Because in the grand scheme of things, you are beautiful and you are amazing, but your health is more important than your weight. Just saying. So here is what concerns me the most. If you got discouraged and you quit right here, you're never going to find out what that something was that your body was working on. You're going to just walk away and think about carnivore not working for you. And you're just going to be one of those people whose body will not cooperate, right? And neither of those things are true. So let's talk about when I realized that I had some kind of issue with food, being like having a negative response every time I ate food. I was like, oh, shoot, what's going to happen now? And then I really started to recognize the pattern of every single time I ate, I had this weird reaction to food and my body would swell. I'd get these extreme sharp pains in my gut and I'd put on fluid just hanging off of me everywhere. And I was like, that's not normal. What the heck? And then nobody could help me figure this out. Nobody. And here's what I want you to take away from this. A plateau is rarely one simple thing. It's usually your body juggling more than one thing. It could be cortisol, inflammation, or hormones, or metabolic adaptation. And most women are not trained to tell what combination it could be and what's actually happening, right? Because we are too close to our own situation to be able to separate it out clearly. I know you might be one of those DIY people. I know I've been one too. But when I need help, I literally have learned to ask for it because I want to get there faster. I want to get to the good part. I don't want to sit here and dilly dally and work around and figure out and test and be an experiment on myself. I can't stand doing that. That is exactly why generic advice fails so many women, and cutting more foods out can help your cortisol, but it can make inflammation worse because your body's like, what the heck? Resting more actually helps your nervous system. I know it's not something you've heard before, but it does. And it helps so many other things when you rest and you actually relax. Maybe you sleep in, maybe you go for a walk, like in the evening. Maybe you go for a walk in the morning. Maybe you strength train 3 days a week and lift heavy things. Proper form though. Resting more helps your nervous system. What actually moves the needle depends entirely on which of these is really going on for you. And that's not something you can guess your way through, right? From your outside looking in on your own situation. That's the whole reason precise support matters, not generic tips that are thrown at you and you're just gathering them from YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And what works for one person may not work exactly for you. Now, carnivore as a blanket works for everybody, but you got to find your carnivore journey in there, but when someone is helping you figure it out and which piece actually could help you move the needle now and what to focus on first, that is gold. The moment that I stopped trying to solve every single thing and I finally asked for help outside of myself, that is when the needle moved. And that's when everything changed. But I had to get to a place where I realized that I couldn't do it all myself. And I had to be open to somebody else helping me. And I didn't even know I needed this, right? So here's your real choice. Plain and simple. You can keep doing this completely on your own. You can DIY, you can trial and error it, you can research it till midnight, you can try one thing and then hope it works and see what happens. That is a road, and some women walk it for years. I did, Or you can get the right support around you and get to where you're going so much faster. So let's wrap it up and recap. Here is what I want you to walk away with today. If you're doing everything right and the scale will not move, I want you to stop blaming your effort. A plateau is not proof that you're failing. It's actually proof that something specific is actually going on. A plateau is not proof that you're failing. It's actually proof that something specific is going on, and that something deserves a real answer, not you guessing all the time. You were never meant to figure this out all alone. You can keep trying it though, and you might get there eventually, or you can get support and get there a whole lot sooner. Living your carnivore life the way you actually want to, and instead of doing it and taking years. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick one thing this week, not a whole plan, not 18, not 500, just one thing. And maybe it's finally writing down the one thing about your plateau that you've been circling for months without solving it. Maybe it's asking someone who knows about your life and they know you well. And you ask them if they notice what you got going on from the outside. Like, what are you missing? Maybe it's sitting down with the question, what am I too close to right now to see clearly? You pick. It could be something totally different. I'm just giving you ideas. And here's the thing, y'all. This is exactly what I help women do every week in my coaching program. I get them to be able to tell me what they have going on. And then I, with my own eyes, can see what they haven't been able to see. And usually quite often, it's this thing right here that's the problem. So I help them to see what they're missing so they can actually address it and move forward. And if that's what you want and you're ready to stop circling and to start moving forward, this is for you. Before you go, I have to say this. I know where you are right now. I have been there. You have done the work. You have shown up for yourself, and there is still something you cannot quite see on your own. That's exactly why I built something new. It's a masterclass. It's going to launch on August 15th, and it is built to support you on your carnivore lifestyle journey. This is going to help you to figure out all of the things that you've been trying to figure out and you haven't been able to put together. And it also takes out the piece of you doing it alone. I'm not going to tell you everything about it right now, but if any of this episode hit you, I want you to pay attention and look for the details because I will be giving them soon. Remember, August 15th, mark that date on your calendar and watch this video in order to stay on this journey and learn something new. I'll see you there.